Hey everyone, I'm back in the shop. If you watched my last video, you saw that we had a couple little issues with the 67 Camaro. So I'm going to be addressing, I think, all of them today. So let's take a look at what has happened. Okay, so this is the spacer that goes between the crank pulley down, or the fluid damper down there. You can't quite see it, but that's what goes between, this spacer is what goes between that and the pulley for the serpentine belt. Now, this was sent to me by CVF, and it was meant for an LS9, I think. Anyways, it was too long. It was a little too long. So at my other work at Red Bearing Restorations, I threw this in the lathe, and I machined off what I needed here to get the right spacing for this LS7. Now, unfortunately, something went wrong there in the machining process, because this spacer was 7 thousandths of an inch bigger on one side than the other side. So 7 thousandths may not seem like much, but then when you add this to it, which is double the diameter, by the time you get out here, it's 14 thousandths of wobble. So I took it to my local machine shop. They have now fixed that. We're going to put that back on there. That belt that was super crazy tight that we couldn't get on. Nope, that's the new one. This one, I got one that's one size bigger, that one. So let's hope that that fixes that problem. And the other thing was, with some hard left and rights out there in the autocross course, this reservoir for the power steering, this little hole here, breather hole, would shoot power steering fluid out, and it would hit the roof of the hood or the bottom of the hood, and we'd have to clean that off between runs. I didn't like that, obviously. So I had concerns that maybe the power steering fluid was getting too hot, and that was part of the problem. I also think maybe as a return line, this is a return line, I'm thinking that the return, it's coming in there so fast that it's shooting the fluid straight up. There's you see that little thing right there, that little silver thing you're looking at in there? That is supposed to be for the return line. Anyways, I added a cooler. So I just replumbed the one line through to this down here. This is the original LS7 Corvette oil cooler, and I repurposed it for power steering cooler. So pressures aren't a problem, because this is not a pressure line. The high pressure line is that one right there. This is just a return line, and it's going to cool off the fluid. So we're going to try it again, and hopefully we're not going to throw any belts. So we're going to try this coming weekend. We're going to try these things. Hopefully these will have made a difference. And also, the car was slightly understeery, as some of you know, as I have shared. Now, okay, so here's the thing. I very well researched this suspension when I decided to put the Speedway Motors G-Comp Unser Edition suspension on the car. And when I did so, I could see that, okay, so here's the arm that goes to the sway bar, and it's on, the bar itself is splined. So at that time, I was like, okay, well, I know I'm going to need to adjust that at some point. So what adjustment is there? Because this certainly isn't adjustable at all. So let's see if you can see from the top. No, well, you can see the bar here. That's the bar. At that time, you could click on the link for the parts, the individual parts for this kit, and you could see that this bar was available in all different stiffnesses. It's the same 1 1/4 inch outside diameter, but the wall thickness is different. And obviously, the thicker the wall, the thicker the bar, or the stronger the bar, the stiffer the bar. And you could have all kinds of different choices. So I was like, no problem, I will adjust. I mean, it's kind of cumbersome, but if I have to adjust bar stiffness, that's how I can do it. I can just pop out this bar, put in a softer one or a stiffer one, whatever. Well, now I've driven the car and it's slightly understeery, so I want to soften the bar. I go on Speedway Motors website, The softer bars are no longer offered. I called them. I called the muscle car guys and I explained the situations. Look, I'm competitively racing this car and I need to change my sway bar rates. And their answer, a little disappointing, was, oh, well, our guys run that same suspension kit on our cars and they don't have that adjustability. They adjust with spring rate. I'm sorry, but that is not the right way. You know, like when you look at the whole setup for on the website, it all talks about the pro touring and the, competition, and our boys use this on ours. And okay, great. Awesome. But it needs to be adjustable, and it isn't. Like, it just isn't anymore. Like, you can't change the bar. Well, I found out something very interesting. Here's the bar from the driver's side. And here's the bar that I got with my Ron Sutton Race Technology sway bar for the race car. Do you see anything similar there? Oh my God, they're so similar. Okay, here's the beautiful thing. The splines right there are exactly the same between the two bars. So this adjustable arm bolts right in place of the Speedway Motors non-adjustable arms. So I'm going to bolt these on there and I'm going to have sudden adjustability on the front sway bar of my car. So that is how I'm addressing that issue. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. So I don't need to show you that because that's kind of boring. But these are the updates that I have on the car. And maybe I'll do a few more updates before this coming weekend. But only 3 days from now, there is another event. So I'm going to go back out there to St. Andrews and try to redeem myself and get all 4 runs in before the belt comes off or I have some other problem on the car. Don't get me wrong. I love my Speedway Motors products, and this car is built 90% with stuff that I've gotten from Speedway Motors. I'm just a little disappointed that a little thing like an adjustable sway bar like that, wasn't available as an option. All right. Well, I have the new belt on. I have the sway bars on. I have the cooler, everything. I think I just gotta start this thing up now. Let's see if that pulley still wobbles. So that pulley is no longer shaking. I don't know if it really shows up in the video. No longer shaking. Look at these slick little spacer clamps that I had kicking around that I put on for my new cooler hoses for the power steering. Okay, so I would want to make sure that I had the routing of the pulleys and all that correct. And I'm looking at the power steering and I came across this power steering bleeding instructions. Oh my God, I did not follow this, but it makes it pretty clear that it is important to follow this. If you'll see, where is it here? It says, with the aid of another person, watch the fluid level in the reservoir while the other slowly turns the steering wheel from lock to lock a minimum of 20 times. There is no way to circumvent and speed this up. Rushing it will only require repeating the process. And this is going back and forth without it even running. So I started doing that process and clearly I did this wrong. So I'm going to show you. Let me get a stand on this camera and put it right here and watch what's going on. Okay, so I've turned the steering wheel now back and forth 22 times. It says in the instructions, if that fluid level if it rises up when you're turning the wheel or if bubbles come out of there, you still have air in the system. So I'm going to now turn the steering wheel all the way to the left. All right. Now watch when it happens when I turn it to the right. Look at this. Look at that. Bubbles coming out. That's 23 times now that I've done that, and it's still doing it. It says here, this may take up to 40 or 50 cycles. Well, I never did this. So there clearly was air in the system. There's still air in the system. So I've got to go back and forth with this. And after doing all that, and when that level no longer goes up and down and there's no air coming out, then I have to disable the ignition system and crank the engine over 3 or 4 revolutions. And then I got to do a bunch more stuff. So anyways, I'm going to do that now. And maybe that was our power steering problem this whole time. Hashtag follow the instructions. Okay, so Bridget and I must have done 150 cycles of this steering back and forth, back and forth. And we did this little thing where, okay, we'll do 5 cycles completely back and forth. And if no bubbles happen in the reservoir, then we'll spin the motor over 3 times to cycle some of the oil through. And so many cycles. Like I say, we did 150 cycles back and forth, back and forth. But finally, after a long, long time, I can run the car, I can run it, and the level, there's no bubbles. So I think we're ready. I think we are ready for day after tomorrow. When you see this, I don't know, you'll probably be seeing this on a Friday or a Saturday. If you're seeing this on Saturday, it's race day. I will have another video for that. But I'm going to close out this video with these changes, these fixes, these repairs. Fingers crossed that it works. And wish me luck, because it's the last event of the season. And I really hope I can get all 4 runs. No issues at all. It'd be so glorious to be able to just mash the gas and rev this thing out. And oh, I can't wait. Anyways, like and subscribe. Leave comments, please. I like the comments, usually. All right, and we'll see you in the next one.